is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Ohio.
It is another beautiful weather night in downtown Cincinnati. Crowd rolling into Great American Ballpark. It's the opening game of 4. The National League Eastern Division leading Phillies come to town to take on the Reds. Hi again, everybody. Look who's with us tonight. The Cowboy, Jeff Brantley and Jim Day. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. So here the Reds are playing another first-place team. They have been very, very good against these top dogs, if you will, going back over the last month plus.
Tom, I think anytime that you play a first-place club, you want to make sure that you bring your A game. Not only because you want to win, but probably because you don't want to get embarrassed. And I think one of the reasons that the Reds have done so well, look at the offense that they've been able to put on the board. Now, the Reds have pitched well in those ball games also, but that offense has been the key.
That is our IGS bringing the energy. Trying to bring some of that tonight, looking for the magic we saw from Tyler Mahle in the month of June. He's had a couple of rough starts since.
Yeah, I don't think that the last 2 starts are indicative of Tyler Mahle. He's put together a good year. His last couple of times out have been difficult. Hopefully tonight he makes it better.
All right, let's talk about his moan to pound it. This will be the 3rd pitcher in the last 4 games where the opposing man on the mound is starting for the first time. It's the 2nd time they're making their major league debut.
Yeah, I think you look at Ranger Suarez, and the first thing that you look at is some of his minor league numbers. He has only allowed 2 home runs the entirety of this year. 66 and 2/3 innings, hasn't allowed a home run at all. Now, he's not a big strikeout guy. He's a guy that uses a sinker. He's going to pitch to contact. He doesn't walk a whole lot of people, not a whole lot of strikeouts, but he's not afraid, and he's got some major swagger.
When we come back, it's Brian Giesenslaw with us tonight down by the Reds dugout, and he'll update the sad story, really, of Jesse Winker. It looks like his season is over.
Brought to you by Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. By Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. And by Buick.
Hey there, Reds fans. Local 12 News meteorologist John Gum with you, taking a look at the game time forecast. And unlike the past couple of nights, we see a little better chance for a hit or miss shower storm passing over the ballpark this evening. Around 82 by the first pitch. We'll be into the mid-70s by the final out. If we do get any rain over the ballpark, it's not going to last all that long, so we should be able to get this one in just fine. Can't rule out a brief delay, though, tonight as a little cold front makes its way through the area. Enjoy the game here on Fox Sports Ohio.
Welcome back inside Great American Ballpark. Brian Giesenslaw. You know, the Reds had a pretty good series here against St. Louis the last 3 days. Won 2 of those 3 games to take the series. All of that is good news, except for the fact that they lost Jesse Winker for the season in the process. On Monday night, Winker was a key part of that big 2-out rally in the 9th against the Cards. And this play, this is where he says he re-injured his right shoulder, a right shoulder that's given him trouble for years. He injured it on that play, went on to score the game-winning run, but because of that injury, this time, the shoulder trouble, this time he won't be back. And these numbers, Rookie of the Year talk for Winker. Why? Because of these ranks among rookies in all of baseball. He's also leading baseball with a .442 average in July. He had the 12-game hitting streak. All of that's good, but surgery now is the next step.
We've done everything we can to kind of, keep it at bay. It's been off and on this whole year with, some shoulder pain and, this whole subluxation thing, had to deal with, a few of those. So it's, now it's time to go in there and fix it.
All right, so now that Winker is done, you start to look at when he might be back. Right now, he says he has the date February 1st circled as his goal to hopefully be back, be healthy, be rehabbed, and be ready to go for spring training. Stick around. When we come back to Great American Ballpark, Tyler Mahle takes on the Phils. Tom and the Cowboy have the call and first pitch coming up next.
Of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
42 years old and a native of Los Angeles, California, is his first-year manager Gabe Kapler. He has his team sitting atop the National League East, 57-44. And let's take a look at the Philadelphia starting lineup here tonight, as the Reds will take the field with their right-hander Tyler Mahle getting the ball. For Mahle, start number 21 on the year. Here is that Philadelphia starting lineup. It'll be Cesar Hernandez leading off. It'll be Rhys Hoskins in left field with Odubel Herrera in center. The former Indian Carlos Santana at first, Maikel Franco at third, and Nick Williams in right. Scott Kingery the shortstop. Jorge Alfaro behind the plate. And making his major league debut tonight is a left-hander Ranger Suarez. Why the tough starts the last couple of timeouts, Cowboy, after a great month of June for the rookie Tyler Mahle?
I think part of it, Tom, is a little bit of fatigue. You get to the All-Star break, you get a few days off, you come back, wasn't quite as sharp in his first start back. But I think the thing for Tyler Mahle, a lot of it really seems to be indicative on who the umpire is behind home plate, because he likes to pitch up in the strike zone. If you've got an umpire that's not going to give you that high strike call, for Mahle, he has a tendency to fall behind in the count, and that doesn't ever work out well for any pitcher.
Well, we'll see how it goes here tonight. Reds could use a good start out of Mahle. They've actually had good starting pitching here the last 3 days. You know, Romano 6 solid innings of 2-run baseball yesterday. Homer Bailey returned, pitched into the 7th, allowed only 2 runs the night before that. And even Castillo, to a slightly lesser extent, pitched into the 6th and allowed only 1 in the series opener against St. Louis.
Well, that outing by Bailey was spectacular. That was pretty amazing.
All right, so here we go. Cesar Hernandez and the Fightin' Phils from Philadelphia. This is a team, as it's strike one and this one underway, to, you know, basically the long and short of it is they will work pitchers to death. That's a word you hear from everybody that sees the Philadelphia Phillies. They take a ton of pitches, and many, many nights more than those that they don't, the opposing starting pitcher racks up the high pitch count. We've seen that from a lot of these Red starters this year, and they're out of the game by the 5th inning.
Well, you have to know that if you're the Reds and Tyler Mahle. If you don't, then you did not do your homework. The issue for the Phillies is they want to get the starter to that 75-80 pitch count mark, and then they drop the hammer. That's where they've had their big innings.
Hernandez at 265, 8 home runs, 33 runs batted in. And Mahle has fallen behind Hernandez, who will take a walk. 3 balls and a strike. In fact, Hernandez leads the major leagues in walks when leading off an inning this season. And you see he's run the count full and he's not swung the bat yet.
And he's really not swinging the bat well right now. So if you're Tyler Mahle, you've got to make him take a hack here.
So this will already be the 7th pitch of this at bat to the very first batter of the night. This guy averages well over 4 pitches per plate appearance, 5th highest in the entire National League. He's among the league leaders in a lot of different categories: runs, infield hits, singles. And there's strike 3 call, the fastball on the inside corner.
That's that high strike call for you. If Mahle can get this pitch tonight, he's in business. Ball up, right above the belt, right on the inside corner.
So now Rhys Hoskins, left fielder, putting together a really, really solid year. 255 batter, has 18 home runs, has driven in 65 runs. Another guy who averages well over 4 pitches per plate appearance.
I thought it was interesting, Hoskins' comment after the All-Star break. He said he felt better after participating in the home run derby. You don't normally hear that from hitters.
You're right.
It's usually the other way.
Well, I tell you what, this guy's a tough guy. This guy is a tough guy. See his number since the All-Star break. But you go back even further. It was on May the 29th at Dodger Stadium. He was facing the closer, Kenley Jansen. He fouled a ball off his face that broke his jaw. It's on May the 29th now. On June the 9th, he was back in the lineup. And he's closing in on 190 plate appearances since coming off the DL. He has 12 home runs and 37 knocked in. Down the left field line and hooking foul. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Hoskins.
Well, Malley is going to have to make a quick adjustment. You cannot be 3-1 on every Philly hitter that comes to the plate. If you do, you're playing right into their game plan.
Fouled over the screen and out of play, and still 3-2 on Hoskins. And I mean, after 2 batters, you're already seeing what we talked about after the first pitch of the game. I mean, you're not even 2 outs into this first inning. Each batter's gone to 3 balls and 2 strikes, and even beyond with a foul ball now. So this will be the 14th pitch already thrown by Malley.
Well, this is a Phillies ball club that really mimic the guy that's hitting in the number 4 spot. We've seen him time and time again with the Cleveland Indians. That's Carlos Santana. He takes a lot of pitches. He fouls a lot of balls off. If you want to beat this club, you've got to be aggressive and you've got to come after him on pitch number 1.
Once more, the 3-2 delivery on the way. And it's launched into deep left center field, and Philadelphia's taken a 1-0 lead in the opening inning as Hoskins clubs his 19th home run of this season.
Well, if you get behind in the count, or if you run the count to 3-2, you allow power hitters to basically keyhole you. They know you're coming in to some part of the strike zone. It's not as though you're going to be able to just hit a corner. Yeah, that ball's hammered. You know, I watch this guy Herrera, Tom. I cease to be amazed at how he can hit with his right foot is almost out of the batter's box towards the first base dugout when he sets up.
Herrera waiting, and he looks at a strike on the outside corner. Malley ahead at 0-2.
You can put the best of hitters in a very rough situation if you're 0-2 and 1-2 every time. Just got to go get them.
Just off the corner. I mean, you look up and down this Philadelphia lineup and you see a lot of guys, 65 knocked in, 56 knocked in, 50 knocked in. I mean, you don't call them a juggernaut offensive team, but as the season goes on, they're getting better and better and better and better. Their last 13 series, they're 10-2-1. Their only series losses during that span, and you're going back to the middle of June. They lost to the Yankees 2 out of 3. They lost to the Marlins in a little hiccup 2 out of 3. But my goodness, ever since then, whether it's hitting home runs, they've hit 49 of them over the last month and a handful of days. And you brought up earlier the big inning. They've had plenty of those. because they've got some guys that can hit the ball in the seats.
And you do that by making the starter get deep into his pitch count early in the ball game.
Well, Herrera notoriously takes forever to get in the batter's box in between pitches. That ball swung fouled out of play.
I think part of what you're seeing is a bit of transition for this Phillies club. You're seeing a lot of these younger hitters and a lot of these guys we've seen come to the big leagues. They're no longer worried about hitting with 2 strikes. That's what allows you comfort of taking pitches early in the count, because you have no fear of hitting with 2 strikes. You're a confident 2-strike hitter.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because the guy who just hit a home run, Hoskins, he is the first Philadelphia player to hit at least 10 home runs with 2 strikes in back-to-back seasons. And you're going back to the Jason Worth days as a Philadelphia Philly.
Well, I hope that Odubel Herrera brought more than a box of bats for this series, because he has already wasted 2 of those bats here in his first at bat of game 1. They have to put in for a new order.
And he's a human rain delay to begin with. So if he's breaking bats, I mean, this at bat could take 15 minutes. Off the glove of Malley, the ricochet, bare hand Peraza, and the runner dives in safely at first.
Well, that's some big time hustle from Odubel Herrera there. On a ball that looked like it was just going to be a line drive back to the pitcher. A lot of hitters don't come out of the box that aggressively.
I'm not sure that Gabe Kapler likes that idea about diving into first base like that. Herrera 5 stolen bases in 7 attempts. So now the man Cowboy made reference to a moment ago, the longtime Cleveland Indian before signing as a free agent with these Phillies during the offseason, Carlos Santana. He's played 40 games in his career against Cincinnati. And in the 40 games, 8 home runs and 27 runs batted in. Another guy with a very good eye at the plate. Among the league leaders, if not the league leader, year after year in his days in the American League in walks. He ranks 3rd in the National League this season behind Harper and Joey. One ball and 2 strikes on Santana.
It is interesting to see that Santana has that many walks. Majority of the time he's hit in the number 4 spot.
That is clobbered into deep right center field, and now it's 3-0 Philadelphia. A solo home run by Hoskins, and now a 2-run big fly from Santana.
Well, as I mentioned to you before we started this ball game, if you're going to beat the Phillies, you have to stay away from the big inning. The big inning is right now. And this is a 1-2 pitch.
So after striking out the first batter of the inning, it's been homer, single, homer. Hoskins, Herrera, Santana. Now strike one to Michael Franco, who has 15 home runs and 50 runs batted in. He's been white hot here of late. Arguably the hottest hitter in this Philadelphia lineup, at least coming into this series. .323 batter going back to the start of July with 5 home runs and 12 knocked in. Boy, they are coming out swinging, man. We're talking about the turnaround presented by Elk & Elk. This time a year ago, a whopping 64 losses. They did not get their 57th win until mid-September last year. We'll go back to that graphic again. I mean, think about that for a minute. This team did not win its 57th game until the middle of September. They've scored more runs. Their starting pitching has been excellent. That one gets away from Barnhart. But it is a strikeout of Franco for the second out of the inning. And you know, Cowboy, when you talk to those who see the Phillies regularly, they'll tell you if you have to pick one thing to start with, it has been the starting pitcher.
And I think you can look throughout Major League Baseball. The teams that are winning are getting deeper into the ball game with their starting pitching. And I would say as we move along, if we continue to see this trend, no longer are the guys that are the starters going to be the big-time free agents. It's going to be the guys that can pitch 2 or 3 innings consecutively out of a bullpen that are going to be getting the big money. We started to see that change last winter, or this past winter. Normally, your starters are the ones that are making the big money in the offseason. We didn't see that this go around.
And those are some of the comments made by Jim Riggleman just a day or two ago, talking about, you know, so infrequently seeing many pitchers at all anymore, going a third time through the batting order. And of course, depending on your success of first 2 and how long you're hanging around, is that 5 innings in this day and age? It seems like we so rarely ever. In fact, the other day we made the comment, there are only 3 pitchers in Major League Baseball that have more than 1 complete game, and all 3 are in the American League.
That's mind-boggling.
Well, especially when we were giving over the weekend just the stats in 1973 of Jack Billingham. 16 complete games, 40 starts, 300 innings pitched, and threw 7 complete game shutouts.
That is a baseball-wide problem, and it all comes in how you're training your starting pitchers as they come through your individual systems.
I didn't miss by much. Malley thought that was strike 3 on Nick Williams. Another 3-2 count. This will be Malley's. Has 35 pitches already here in the first inning, and it's not yet through. Williams was in a horrific slump when we saw him very early. And remember, that was the first week of the season. You know, the first road trip the Reds went on after starting the year here against the Nationals and the Cubs. They went to Pittsburgh, then Philadelphia. And there's a rocket into center field, a base hit. Take a look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Irvin again in right. He's played well here the last couple of days.
Yes, he has.
Swung the bat and played very well in the outfield. Regular crew along the infield, and we're going to already have a first inning visit to the mound by Danny Darwin.
Well, immediately when you look at the Reds offense, you would think, okay, Eugenio Suarez has hit home runs in his last 3 ball games. That would be the first thing that pops to your mind. What would not pop into your mind is the fact that Phillip Ervin was swinging the bat awfully well in AAA. He gets here and he actually has gotten to play while he was swinging the bat well in AAA, get to the big leagues, the transition. He's into the outfield. Of course, it's injury issues with Schebler and Winker that have afforded that opportunity for him. But he's produced. He's 7 for his last 16.
Yep.
And I'll say this for Phillip Ervin. The play he made yesterday in the first inning on the line drive that was tailing away from him that he dove for, if he doesn't make that play, that game switches dramatically right at that point.
He made some really nice plays on defense during that series. That was one of them. Foul ball off the bat of Scott Kingery, the Philadelphia shortstop, 7th man to bat in this opening inning. They have big expectations for Kingery. Came up as a second baseman, now trying to settle in as a regular shortstop, and they think those numbers you see there will continue to get better quickly.
I think when you look at Kingery, he's a very aggressive player. He's a very high energy player. I think that's one of the reasons that his manager loves him, because that's how Gabe Kapler was. But the problem as a young player with high energy is you can't slow the game down. You can play the game with your hair on fire. That's all fine and good. But on the inside of your head, you've got to slow it down mentally. If you can't do that, you're going to swing at a lot of bad pitches and you're going to make some mistakes on the field.
The 40th pitch of this first inning, about to be thrown by Tyler Mahle. 0-2 on Kingery. That is a fair ball into the left field corner. Williams racing his way to third. They're going to hold him up there as Duvall fires it back in to Peraza. And that's another base hit for the Phillies. 5 of them so far, and you wonder, is that going to be it for Mahle? They have Lorenzen ready to go in the bullpen.
Well, I think when you go back and you look at the individual pitches throughout this inning, there has yet to be a pitch that has been run up under a hitter's hands. When you have a comfortable offensive club, they will beat you to death because their upper body is carrying out over the plate. You're not running the ball in. They're not worried about getting hit. If you don't establish inside early in the ball game, you're going to get your brains beat out.
Well, they intentionally walked the number 8 hitter, the catcher Alfaro. So they will pitch to the 9th man in this Philadelphia first inning. This will be the first major league at bat in this his major league debut for the 22-year-old Venezuelan Ranger Suarez. Left-handed pitcher and a left-handed batter. So far 3 runs on 5 base hits. Mahle is closing in on 45 pitches here in the top of the first inning. You're by no means out of this game. I mean, it's only the first inning. You haven't come to the plate yet. It's only 3 runs. It feels like a lot more than that. But if you can keep it right here, we'll see what happens against this guy making his big league debut. One ball and 2 strikes. Struck him out, and mercifully this first inning comes to an end. Phillies leave them loaded. They get 5 hits and 3 runs, including a couple of long ones. Philadelphia. So now the Reds coming to the plate here in the bottom of the first inning, down 3. And their starting lineup has Peraza, Jeanette, Votto to start it. Suarez, red hot in the middle, has homered in 3 straight games. Duvall in left, Barnhart catching. 7, 8, 9 go Urban, Malley, Hamilton against. This left-hander making his major league debut tonight. Great name, Rangers, Suarez.
Fastball, not going to blow you away with velocity, even though he's got enough. The biggest issue for this kid is he's got a great sinking fastball. Even when the opponents are on it, a lot of times the ball's on the ground, and that works well in a ballpark like Great American Ballpark, and it really works well in Philadelphia.
You saw those numbers. He has spent the overwhelming majority of this season all the way down in Double-A Reading, and then was so good and so dominant for all the 3 starts in Triple-A. They said, why are we wasting our time? Let's get him to the major league club.
Well, let's think about this. The Phillies are starting a left-handed pitcher for the first time in 267 games. That takes you back to basically Cole Hamels.
Yeah, back in September of 2016, the last time a southpaw towed the rubber for the Philadelphia Phillies, and they had one of the greatest southpaws there forever in the history of Major League Baseball in Mr. Steve Carlton.
Yeah.
His first pitch in the big leagues is strike 1 to Jose Peraza, follows out with ball 1. Bouncing ball to the shortstop Kingery, throws on the run in time. Let's take a look at Philadelphia on defense, and this is not a good defensive team. If there's an Achilles heel for this club, it would be on the defensive side of the ball. Herrera flanked by Hoskins and Williams. Infield of Franco, Kingery, Hernandez, and Santana. Alfaro behind the plate.
Well, that may have a tendency to work in the Reds' favor, because this kid he's going to make you put the ball in play. How hard you put it in play may be the indicator of whether the Reds can force some errors here tonight.
Scooter Gennett looks at strike 1. Gennett in his career has always worn out the Phillies. A .340 batter with 3 home runs and 18 runs batted in.
And he's still wearing them out.
So Gennett with a 1-out single, and here comes Joey Votto.
I love to watch Gennett's preparation when he steps into the batter's box. He'll take a deep breath and then a slow exhale as he sets his hands ready to hit, and he does it every single time.
Scooter did not have a hit following the All-Star break until yesterday, and then all of a sudden his last 3 at-bats he went single, single, triple. I guess they actually scored that. They changed it to a double last night. So with a single here today, now he has hits in 4 consecutive at-bats. And Votto lifts a fly ball into left center field. This will stay in the ballpark. Of course, here we are, Cowboy, nearly the end of July, and you know a lot of the numbers for Votto are good. The on-base percentage, the walks, those kinds of things. The home runs are way down. 9 RBIs are down, and the batting average is down.
But we have seen Votto do some things in the second half of seasons that are unthinkable, and the Reds, and I'm sure Joey in his own right hopes that he gets on one of those types of runs, because when he's on those runs with the way this team swings the bat,
we had arguably one of the best second halves, if you will, in the history of Major League Baseball 2 years ago. He was very strong again last year. Here's Suarez. He has homered in 3 consecutive games for the first time in his career. It's the first time a Reds third baseman has done it in 3 in a row since Aaron Boone back in '02. Suarez did not play against the Phillies in that series in Philadelphia earlier, because the final game of the Pirates series, which preceded the Philly series, is when he was hit by Jameson Taillon and broke his thumb. Oh, what a run he's been on.
Suarez versus Suarez.
Oh, very nice. You've been waiting to say that. I'm glad I didn't steal that from you. You brought that up earlier today.
And both from Venezuela.
Take a look at this. Our Lowe's home team together and whole team together. Against left-handed pitching this year, some good numbers for some of these Redlegs. Suarez second best in the league.
Oh.
And it's killed. Is it 4 games in a row? You can take it to the house.
I watched the kid on the mound. When the ball left the bat, he looked into Alfaro and just kind of shook his head like, wow. But there have been a lot of pitchers in 2018. After Suarez has come to the plate, they've shaken their heads and said, wow.
So the first home run allowed by Suarez, and it's all minor leagues, of course, but Cowboy, he had not given up a home run since the 22nd of April. 67 innings without giving a home run. And Suarez, the first Reds third baseman to homer in 4 straight games since Chris Stein in the 2000 season.
Welcome to the big leagues, one Ranger Suarez.
And this ball is clubbed hard by Duvall down the line.
Oh.
And what a play made and left by Hoskins. We just said their defense isn't very good.
That was a great play.
That was pretty good. But the Reds get 2 back. They're down a run. It's always a big night at the ballpark. Enjoy dinner and drinks. Meet Reds coaches, take swings in the batting cages, gear up behind home plate. This year you get an exclusive Reds tote bag and infinity scarf. This is for the ladies only now, fellas. Sign up today at Reds.com/baseball101. It is.
That's a fun night. That's a really fun night.
That has become a really popular evening, and we look forward to seeing many of you here. And of course, females make up an extraordinarily high number of baseball fans. More and more studies prove that.
I love the question answer session. That is outstanding.
Well, especially as you move into about the third or fourth group that comes through. You know, they tend to be a little shy at the beginning, and then as things start to loosen up a little bit, look out.
It's fun. I think it's awfully fun for the gals, and it's fun for us too.
You're right. Swinging a foul tip in and out of the mid of Barnhart. Second straight time the leadoff man is the leadoff man.
And he said 3-2 again.
Yes. We told you before the first pitch was ever thrown in this game that this is what the Phillies try to do to people, and I'll be doggone if the Red starter isn't about to throw his 53rd pitch of this game. And it's going to be a little bloop base hit in the short left field.
And that's it.
Yep, they had Michael Lorenzen up earlier. And without looking down there, I'm going to assume that's who's going to come into the game now. Yep, it'll be Lorenzen. So this will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Mahle last one inning. His third straight, far less than subpar start. First inning. Throws 53 pitches after giving up a leadoff bloop single to Cesar Hernandez to begin the Philadelphia second, and now he'll give way on the mound. It is a 3-2 ball game as Michael Lorenzen now takes over.
Well, Lorenzen is going to give you a little more velocity than what you saw from Tyler Mahle. But I'll say this again. It really doesn't matter who the Reds run to the mound right now. if the Reds pitcher does not throw the ball in off the plate, it's going to be a rough night. Because you can see every one of these Phillies hitters, that front shoulder closes over the inside corner, and they are very, very comfortable, whether they hit left-handed or right-handed.
Well, you drew an interesting analogy to those Philadelphia Phillies team that were, a bunch of bruisers back in the early 1990s, a team that ended up losing one year in the World Series to the Toronto Blue Jays. They had a lot of guys that hit in a similar fashion.
Well, I think there is at least a bit of confusion when you talk about pitching inside. Pitching inside is not hitting the guy in the head. What you're trying to do is make a hitter retreat his hands, make him take his hands away from the plate. What that does is it changes his ability to decipher whether the pitch on the outside corner is a strike or a ball. But if you continue to just throw away, hitters this day and age, they're going to hit it out. It's not just going to be a single, it's going to be a bomb.
Swing and a miss. 2-2 on Hoskins. Good breaking ball by Lorenzen.
That breaking ball and that swing was set up 2 pitches earlier on a fastball that ran way in off the plate. Now you see this breaking ball. That ball was not devastating as far as a slider pitch. But 2 pitches earlier, the fastball was in off the plate, and Hoskins had to move his hands back.
A little bit low. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Struck him out on the pitch up.
There are teams that come in that are not swinging the bat well. You don't have to worry so much about throwing the ball inside. This looks like a breaking ball that just spins up and out of the strike zone. But when you have a club that comes in and they're not hitting well, you don't want to wake them up. You don't want to throw the ball in there and wake them up. But this club is swinging the bat well. And you've got to take some of that aggressiveness away from their swing and away from their mental aspect of coming to the plate.
Ball went away to Herrera. He had that line drive that glanced off the glove of Malley and then rolled out to the shortstop, and he beat the throw and then scored on the home run by Santana, who's due up next. Second straight batter, Lorenzen falls behind 2-0. Of course, Lorenzen came to the big leagues as a starter. And he has his ups and downs that first year in the starting rotation. Got hurt. They put him back in the bullpen for the next couple of years. He went to spring training this year, promised by then manager Brian Price that he would get a shot at the starting rotation. He got hurt again. Did not pitch for the first month and a half of the season before finally being activated. And in essence, this is like a starting assignment here tonight. Now, he may not be stretched out long enough to go a ton, although if there's one guy that does not like the idea of the way pitchers have been babied, if you will, going back to what you talked about earlier, it is this guy. He wants the ball.
Yeah, I think Michael Lorenzen can give you 3 innings. The key is how his command is on the given day.
Yep.
And he missed well off the plate with all of the pitches he threw to Herrera in that at bat. Even the called strike was a pitch off the plate.
So now Santana, who homered his first time up, is 16th of the year. Since the All-Star break, he now has a couple of home runs and 10 runs batted in 6 games and 1 at bat tonight. So he's heating up. Not sure he liked that call by the home plate umpire, Chris Guccione. Bill Miller is the umpired first, the crew chief. Alan Porter at second. Nick Marley, the umpire, down at third.
That ball started a bit in off the plate. You could see Santana raise his hands thinking that the ball was going to be inside, and it was a changeup and just tailed right back over the inside corner. That inside pitch does two things, Tom. Number one, it makes you speed the bat up. It speeds your eyes up. And number two, it keeps you as a hitter from diving out over the plate. There's not a hitter in the world that wants to dive out over the plate and get hit by the baseball. I don't care how tough they are. There you go.
Bottom fell out of that pitch, and that's a swing and a miss. So Lorenzen has faced three batters, struck out two. One more out to go with Franco coming up.
It's a perfect execution of back-to-back pitches. Fastball in, change-up, away. Watch the front shoulder here. It does not dive out over the plate as we saw when he hit the home run earlier.
You know, one thing we failed to mention is what we've seen so far when they've made outs. The Phillies will do a lot of this. Every out that's been recorded in this game so far has been a strikeout. I mean, this is, you know, look, they're all in on the sabermetrics game. Now, some of the players they inherited, good players, talented players, Franco, Herrera, Hernandez. They weren't a bunch of guys they brought in and overhauled this entire team. They brought in Santana. They've given young players like Hoskins, you know, dating back to last year, and Kingery a chance. Nick Williams a chance. But they take a lot of pitches. They draw a lot of walks. They strike out a ton. And they hit home runs.
If you take a lot of pitches and you've got a pitcher on the mound that can command the strike zone, the pitcher has the advantage because he's going to get ahead of you. Bam, bam. It's not that easy to hit with two strikes. But if it's 3-1, Katie bar the door.
Talking about the strikeout total. Only San Diego has struck out more.
And I would tell you right now, from the analytics standpoint for the Phillies, they'll tell you they don't care about that strikeout number. They want you to work the count. They want to see the starter out of the ball game as they have done here tonight. Make you pitch behind in the count. We're playing for the big inning, and they've done that. They're in first place.
Straight up in the air. So how about this? Lorenzen brings a little peace and quiet to this whole thing. He faces 4, retires 3. 2 left on base. Reds down a run. 18 is available now. Learn more at RBIGame.com. Rated E for everyone. We're just through an inning and a half here at Great American Ballpark. And the Phillies scored 3 in the first, 2 home runs. Reds got a 2-run home run by Suarez in the bottom of the first inning. And so now the Reds bat in the second against Ranger Suarez, making his major league debut, and drops a breaking ball in there to Tucker, strike 1.
And this kid was pitching in Lakeland last year. Florida State League, low A ball.
Well, he thought he had strike 3 right there. Fastball 93. It looked like it was on the outside corner.
He was close. I would have wanted it.
Well, sure. Now the 2-2 to Barnhart. Bounces up there, full count. Tucker to be fouled in the inning by Urban and Michael Lorenzen. With Lorenzen in that game, you've got another bat in that lineup.
Yes, you do.
Strike 3 call. Tucker didn't think so. You be the judge.
It's low. The key to that is if you're going to call that pitch every time, I don't have any issue with it. But if you're going to call it just once every 5 or 6 pitches, you're really messing with a hitter's head.
Base hit into left field off the bat of Phillip Urban, so his good hitting continues. 1 out single for Urban, and here comes Lorenzen.
So few times in the major leagues, and it's just the way that it works. You've got a kid that's a hot hitter in AAA. You call him up because he's hot in AAA, and then he sits right over there in the dugout. He doesn't start because you've got starters in the big leagues, and you want him to be able to hit off the bench.
Well, really, that's what's going on right now with Dielson Herrera. Right. Well, he was so hot when they brought him up, but
and it's also what has happened with Phillip Urban. But
sure.
But if not for the injuries to Schebler and Winker, he would not be playing right now. Not with this type of regularity.
Saw the numbers on Lorenzen. It's just mind-boggling. He has a total of 12 at-bats. He has 4 hits, and 3 of the 4 hits have been home runs, including a grand slam. Strike 1.
Well, when you watch Lorenzen at the plate, he does not look like a pitcher. He takes pitches like a hitter. He swings like a hitter.
Lorenzen just an incredible athlete. I mean, everything from strength to speed to agility to flexibility. He is an athlete. Two balls and a strike.
Well, the key for Lorenzen is he is an athlete that can throw 98. And there aren't many of those out there. Not with that skill set.
Bouncing ball, and this will be a double play. That's a really nice play right there by Kingery. That ball had some hair on it. We played 2. Phillies lead by a run.
Game at the moment. You know, the Reds have 3 All-Stars in this lineup, and it's possible they could have had a Rookie of the Year candidate in the lineup for the rest of the season as well. But at this point, we won't know, because as of today, Jesse Winker's season has come to an end. Some of the best numbers in the league for rookies for Winker so far. He hit .442 in the month of July, but because of a shoulder injury that he says dates back 2 to 3 years, he'll have season-ending surgery. Mason Williams, a left-handed bat from Louisville, takes his spot on the roster. As for talking to Jim Riggleman this afternoon about Winker, he said, look, he was asked about the success Winker has had given the length of time he's dealt with the injury, and he said that Winker would alter his swing at times to deal with the pain and the injury, and was still able to put up numbers like the ones you see right here, some of the best in baseball. So February 1st is the target date for Winker to have the surgery, to rehab, and get back on the field. In the meantime, Riggleman said he's interested to see if he can find someone that can hit behind Eugenio Suarez in the lineup and continue to provide that protection that Winker did. And Cowboy, those are tough questions to answer.
Yeah, that shoulder subluxation that you were talking about with Winker, I played with a guy that dealt with it the entirety of his career. His name was Will Clark, and he was one of the better hitters that I've ever been around. The key is the everyday maintenance of that shoulder, and if you can keep it tight, you're never going to be able to take that space and decrease it, and they may be able to do a little bit of that with this surgery. But ultimately, it comes down to Jesse doing the everyday work on that shoulder to keep himself tight and keep that shoulder strong, and he'll come back without any problems at all.
We begin the top of the 3rd inning. Philadelphia with a 3-2 lead. It'll be Williams, Kingery, Alfaro, 6, 7, 8 in their batting order against Lorenzen, who's taken over in the top of the 2nd inning for Tyler Mahle. Straight away center field. Hamilton continues to drift, and that one is out of here. Boy, these Phillies are coming to town, and they are just raking. 3 home runs in the game already. It's number 13 for Nick Williams.
The problem that you have with that 2-seam fastball when it's up It starts on the plate and it finishes middle away. That runs right into the bat head. And for a hitter, Tom, you're seeing the ball, okay, it starts a strike, so I'm starting my swing aggressively, and then all of a sudden it runs into a spot where my eyes light up. If it starts off the plate, you see it as a ball, you're not quite as aggressive.
This is a fly ball that will back up Duvall to the warning track, and Kingery retired. Well, coming up later on, brought to you by Miller Lite, we'll have our Hold True moment. This could turn out to be a wild one. It was a wild game today in Wrigley Field. The Diamondbacks won the first 2 games of that 4-game series before the Cubs got a 1-run win, low-scoring game last night. And it was all Arizona through the first 8.5 innings. Diamondbacks carried a 6-3 lead into the bottom of the 9th. The Cubbies score 4 to win the game on a Anthony Rizzo big fly onto Sheffield Avenue.
I think there were a couple of home runs hit there in that final inning. One by David Bodie. I think that was a 2-run homer. And Rizzo sealed the deal.
Cubs have won a lot of games like this year. See, they had already tied the game at 6. And with 1 out, Rizzo bye-bye.
You think that was very loud there after that swing?
Pretty good chance.
You can book it.
And look at that crowd. It's the way the crowds are looking these days in Philadelphia. They had a day game yesterday against the Dodgers where they beat LA for a 2nd straight day. They had 37,000 at Citizens Bank Park for that afternoon tilt. Of course, a big reason why, in all fairness, was Chase Utley, playing now for the Dodgers, longtime great for the Phillies, has already announced that he will retire at the end of this year. So yesterday was the final game that he would ever play at Citizens Bank Park, unless they pull up a trade for the guy. And there's been some talk about that. Whether that'll happen or not remains to be seen.
I think he's meant a lot to the Dodgers, especially in their clubhouse, as he did in a Phillies uniform in their clubhouse.
See, this Suarez not afraid to swing the bat now. He's spinning down there. His last couple of swings. And he's falling in line with all of those teammates and working deep into a count. Second time he's gone to 2-2 tonight.
Time for that slider down and in.
Three and two on the pitcher. Strike 3 called, and that'll do it. A solo home run by Williams. Reds will bat in the bottom of the 3rd, trailing by a pair.
Royals had the Dodgers at Citizens Bank Park back in Philly, and they played nearly 6 hours on this night, 16 innings, until Trevor Plouffe walked him off with a 3-run shot that came off the Dodgers' Kike Hernandez. LA ran out of pitching, so Hernandez, who endured an 0-for-7 night at the plate, had to come in and pitch as well. And the Phils, winners against the Dodgers, and Gabe Kapler's team has had a lot of wins like that so far this season.
Well, that was a wild one, no doubt about that. And for Kike Hernandez, that's a day he'll just as soon forget all about.
Yeah, it's one thing if you're, 4 or 5 for 7, and then you happen to have to pitch and don't do so hot. When you're 0 for 7,
I was going to say,
and you give up the game winner as a position player, that's not a real fun day.
I mean, you would have died for 1 for 7 if you're going to get hung with a loss on the mound. All right, so here we go in the Reds' third. Billy Hamilton, number 9 spot in the batting order. He'll be followed by Peraza. And then Jeanette. 4-2. Phillies lead in game 1 of 4. Play tomorrow night, 7:10, big fireworks show. And then Saturday, that'll be a 6:40 game. Walk the Moon, Cincinnati's very own, will play after the game that night. Hernandez, or rather Hamilton, will chop out to Suarez, and that would be the first out of the inning.
Now, is tomorrow's the Elvis bobblehead day, right?
It is. And they have the music for the fireworks is Elvis. So that'll be great. And Saturday we have Walk the Moon, great band, a lot of big hits, well known all across the world. They'll be here playing after the game Saturday. And then Sunday we wrap up this 10-game homestand with a 1-10 game.
I can remember many Sunday afternoons right after church, because I was in Memphis. You drive in, you make the circle. Sometimes Elvis is out there on the front porch. Sometimes it's just his mom. You make the circle, you make the wave, you go right across the street, lunch at the Piccadilly. It was outstanding.
So
that's Elvis Presley,
you would see Elvis sitting on his front porch.
You could see Elvis every once in a while driving that silver Lincoln Continental on a phone. And this is way back.
But you would see him just hanging out on his front porch.
Just sit on the front porch and wave.
Did he always wave?
He always waved.
Yeah, that's cool.
He
was
cool.
The king. There's no doubt about that. Fly ball into right field. It's one of my favorite Elvis stories of all time was with Harry Carey. And Harry told a story. He was doing football in the wintertime, and he came into Memphis to do a Memphis State football game. And he's in his hotel. The hotel phone room rings in his room, and he answers the phone. Hello, says, is this Harry Carey? He says, yes, sir. He says, this is Elvis Presley. Harry hangs up the phone. Phone rings again a minute later. Same drill. Harry hangs up on him again. Calls a third straight time, and when Harry answers the phone, he says, stop, Harry, stop, stop, stop. He says, listen, just do me a favor. Come downstairs and walk out by the valet parking in 5 minutes from now. You can act like you're getting a newspaper, and you can go right back up to your room and do whatever you're doing. But come downstairs in 5 minutes, and I will be there. Well, naturally, you know the rest of the story. It was the king. And after doing the football game that night, Harry hung out at Graceland.
That's pretty cool.
To the wee hours of the morning. Imagine hanging out with Harry Carey and the king.
Carpet on the ceiling.
Sunday, as always, thanks to our great friends, longtime Cincinnati company Klosterman Bakery. You can get half-price Reds tickets. We have the mascot races, face painters, and so much more. Kids 14 and younger get a team baseball card set thanks to Cons. For tickets, Reds.com. 4 runs, 7 hits, 3 of them home runs for the Fightin' Phils. 2 runs, 3 hits. 2 runs coming on a home run by Suarez for the Reds. We're in the 4th inning, and this is the 3rd time tonight that the leadoff hitter is their leadoff hitter, Cesar Hernandez. At Jeanette for the first out of the inning. Hoskins with a home run way back into left center in the 1st inning. It's a 5th home run he's hit in the last 6 games. And now 19 of them for Hoskins. Boy, did he burst on the scene in an angry way a year ago. And they brought him up and he never stopped hitting. Wound up finishing 4th in the Rookie of the Year balloting, despite not making his major league debut until August the 10th. He wound up hitting 18 home runs and driving in almost 50 in the final 50 games of the year.
And really a first baseman by trade, but he has picked up the left field issue, as we saw earlier in this ball game with a diving catch out there.
Slow roller to Suarez, cuts in front of Peraza. It's a nice play. 2 down. First 2 retired by Lorenzen. He's given up 1 run since coming into the game, and he's an out away from 3 full innings. Herrera, an infield hit, scored on the home run by Santana in the 1st inning. And then he drew a walk from Lorenzen in the 2nd inning. Michael's only given up 2 base runners, 1 base hit. That was the home run by Williams.
He has come to the plate, Herrera has, with the intent of taking until he got to 2 strikes. He took those 3 pitches. There was no intent in his mind to swing.
Well, he didn't swing at anything. Why bother to take up a bat?
Egger from 700 WLW for the Reds Fan Cam. It's your chance to answer Reds trivia, win great prizes, and you could be part of our Reds live telecast, post-game version. Fun gets started at 6 this Friday. The Holy Grail Banks down by the ballpark. Reds come to bat down 2. Joey Votto to start things off.
Alrighty, Votto, thank you very much, Brian. Votto flied out to left field his first time up. He'll be followed by Suarez, who homered his first time up. And then Duvall due up third in the inning. He had a double taken away on that diving play made out in left field by Hoskins.
Well, just watching this kid Suarez pitch so far in this ball game. Now, granted, we're only in the third inning, and the Reds are seeing him for the second time through the lineup, but he does not appear as though he is 22 years old making his major league debut.
Breaking ball in there, strike.
And by saying that, what I mean is he appears to be composed and on the attack of the strike zone.
And that's strike 3 called on the outside corner, and Votto unhappy with that call.
It's a pretty good pitch. Two-one breaking ball, and then that fastball down and away is couple of pretty good pitches, well executed by the left-hander Suarez.
And our StatCast powered by AWS. 4 straight games with a home run. That exit velocity at 105 went better than 400 feet. First Reds third baseman to homer in 4 straight games since Chris Stein. And you're going back 19 seasons ago. The 2000 year.
Well, to put it in perspective, Chris Stein was playing when I was playing.
Yes. We were talking about him yesterday. You know, there was a spurt there for a while, a year or two, where that guy really swung the bat.
Well, he was hitting well over 300 for the majority. I don't remember the exact season, but he was
You're right.
raking.
He was among the league leaders.
Yes.
Suarez draws a 4-pitch walk after the home run his first time up. And that's the first walk given up in the career by Ranger Suarez. 1 on, 1 out, last of the 4th inning. Phillies leading by 2.
If the Reds do not get some more consistent offensive production from Adam Duvall in this spot that he's in now, Jim Riggleman is either going to have to put Scooter Gennett behind Suarez and move Votto up to 2, or they're going to walk Suarez till the cows come home.
Well, even though, and we've talked about it so many times, Cowboy, I mean, the batting average is way, way down. It's been way, way down all year for Duvall. I mean, you can't look away from 15 home runs and 61 runs batted in. He's done some damage.
But who would you rather face?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's really where it comes down to.
That's right.
If I can get a hitter to swing it that I know that is going to chase some pitches out of the strike zone, then I'm going to take my chances with him. Yeah. Duvall has phenomenal power. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But you got a guy standing at first base right now that not only has great power, it's consistent power right now.
2-1 on Duvall. Hit the ball very hard his first time up. It took a great play by Hoskins in left field. Diving, running far to his right near the line. Left his feet and hauled it in.
Ranger Suarez starting to show a bit of moxie here. He's had 2 at bats now where he's thrown 2-1 breaking balls for a strike. He did it to Votto, ended up striking him out. He did it right here to Adam Duvall.
Well, you said it, Cowboy. It's not only the way he carries himself out on the mound. I mean, you just look at his stuff here through the first, 3+ almost 4 innings. I mean, this guy's got the arsenal. He's got the whole package.
Well, he is pitching and he has his emotions under control. How many times have we seen young pitchers step to the mound, they forget about pitching and they just think about how hard they can throw the ball, and they're gone within 2 or 3 innings.
2-2 again on Duvall. Very short lead, 1-step lead over there by Suarez, and that breaking ball sails high and away. In the air, right field. That will back up Williams short of the track. And he's got it for the second out of the inning. Tucker Barnhart called out on strikes, and much like Votto we saw here a moment ago, he did not like the call a little bit. Thought the pitch was low. 2 down in the inning and a runner at first base. Reds down a pair. Breaking ball, the good one. And the other thing about Suarez, he gets that ball and he's ready to go. Well, you're going to start to see more and more of that from pitchers coming up from the minor leagues.
That's what I was going to say.
Because and hitters
they're on
for
the
that
clock.
matter. That's right. They're on the clock in the minor leagues, and it's so interesting to talk to guys who have gone and watched minor league games. I mean, buddies of yours at home. A lot of you watching the game at home right now. From what I've been told by almost every one of them, it is when you first go, you're always looking at that clock. Are they going to beat? Are they going to beat the clock? Are they going to beat the clock? Because you've never seen it in a baseball game before. But then I'm told after you go to maybe 1 or 2 games, you never look at it again because everybody gets it. That's hit pretty well by Tucker as he tied this game. He has tied this game at 4 apiece.
Back-to-back ball games for Barnhart now with a home run.
Breaking ball just left right there in the middle of the plate. Tucker knew what to do with it. So Barnhart, after really struggling leading up to the All-Star break for almost an entire month, he now sits safely in each of his 5 starts since a break. That one fouled off by Urban, who singled to left field his first time up. Urban 8 of 17 since getting a chance to start playing. Still looking for his first home run. He has a couple of doubles. He's knocked in 4 runs. And has that season batting average. He's only played in 25 games all year. Served into right, and that will end the inning. But we begin anew. Home runs by Suarez and now Barnhart send us to the 5th in a 4-4 game. Home of the Free Pie Wednesdays by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, now ranked number 2 in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. Well, coming up this Saturday, the first 20,000 fans through the gates get a Joey Votto Funko Pop thanks to Ram Trucks. 500 lucky fans will receive a limited edition gold Joey Votto Funko Pop. And don't forget Walk the Moon playing after the game. Go to Reds.com for tickets. And in between innings, after having a few words with the home plate umpire Chris Guccione, Joey Votto coming up and probably trying to clear the air a little bit. Good move. Good move. Michael Lorenzen set to begin what will be his 4th inning of work. He took over 1 batter after a single by Hernandez in the 2nd inning. Lorenzen has retired 6 in a row. He's only given up 1 hit, and that was a home run to Nick Williams. Franco to follow, and then Williams. Santana, a 2-run home run in the 1st inning, struck out his last time up. This one in the air to right center, be run down by Urban, and that's a good way to get it started for Lorenzen here in the 5th after the Reds had just tied this game at 4 on a 2-run home run by Tucker Barnhart.
You have to wonder a little bit about the psyche of Ranger Suarez. He's only given up 2 home runs all year in his, and granted that's AA and AAA, but he's given up 2 here tonight.
Well, here's another one. This one off the bat of Franco. Boy, I mean, the ball is flying out of here tonight.
And it's not like it's a big windy night either.
Phillies have now hit 1, 2, 3, 4 home runs, and the Reds have hit 2. So just like that, the Phillies jump back in front. Talked about Franco coming into this series. He has been the hottest Philadelphia hitter here of late. It's his first hit tonight. Well, he jumped on that high pitch, didn't he?
Well, the balls that we are seeing hit out of the ballpark are not very good pitches. I mean, if you want to throw a fastball up, you get the ball up above the hands. And let's face it, in this ballpark and where Philly plays for that matter, a fly ball a lot of times gets out if you hit it well. And that's not going to change in Cincinnati. Did Votto not see that ball? I mean, that ball was smoked. Granted. I thought he had a play on it as the ball came off the bat. Looked like it went right over the top of his glove.
And sometimes all it takes is a white
behind
shirt
home
in the
plate.
stands.
You're exactly right, especially on a ball hit that hard.
Austin Bryce cranking it up in the bullpen. Well, he's looked really good since coming back up from the minor leagues, healthy again.
This is really like the 4th inning for Lorenzen. This is a major stretch out for him at this point.
Well, he's got the bottom part of the order now with 1 in, 1 on, 1 out. Kingery's showing button at strike 1. This will be the 58th pitch since coming into the game for Lorenzen. Mahle threw almost that number, 53 of them, through 10 batters before he was taken out of the game. This won't be a double play, but they'll get 1. And there are 2 out in the inning. Breaking story coming across right now at MLB.com says that Cole Hamels, a longtime standout for these Philadelphia Phillies, now of course pitching in Texas, is on his way to the Chicago Cubs.
There was actually talk that he may return to the Phillies. He's still got quite a bit left on that contract. And a buyout as well.
Well, the whole Yu Darvish thing has not gone well.
No.
It's been a disaster so far in the first year. Now health is a problem, for Darvish, and has been. But it's just been awful. Chatwood's not worked out very well. They bring him in, and, he was getting.
Well, he's just not been able to give him any innings.
No. And, the only starter that they can ever count on seemingly to give them more than really 6 innings in a game is the oldest member of that rotation, as you say, in Lester. I mean, as good as Hendricks is, he is basically a 5 or 6 inning pitcher, and always has been.
Right.
Oh, and one to Alfaro. Boy, that ball is crushed into right center field. One hop off the wall. They're going to have to, they're going to wave the runner around. They've got to play at the plate here. Jeanette can get it there. And the runner is out at the plate. What a play by Barnhart. That is a big-time play by Tucker Barnhart.
Well, you've got the pitcher coming up next. You take a chance on a ball in the gap, try to score him from first base. But you're right. What a play by Barnhart.
By Geico, the Phillies on this date in 2000 send their #1 starter Curt Schilling to Arizona, and the following season at 33 years old he played a major role in the Diamondbacks World Series title. He went 22-6 and pitched a league-leading 256 2/3 innings for that new team. And Tom Brenneman, I know you can add some things to that as well.
Well, all I can tell you is one thing. The Diamondbacks had the best pitcher on the planet in the regular season in Randy Johnson. And when they brought Schilling in there, they brought in the best post-game pitcher on the planet when given the chance. He did it with the Phillies when they went to the World Series in '93. When he came to Arizona, he started 3 games in that 2001 World Series.
Yeah, I was on that club when they traded Schilling. He was the only hope he had every 5th day because we were not very good.
Big Schill, he was something else. Boy, he was something. Watching him and Johnson back to back. Jim Dave and I were flipping through something on the plane a couple of weeks ago.
They made each other better.
Oh, there's no question. And, you know, I tell the story all the time. And, you know, the 2002 Arizona team was better than 01. Johnson 125, Schilling 124. They were the top 2 pitchers in the league. And in the last week of the season, they lost 3 position players to injuries with 4 games left in the regular season. And so they ended up losing in the postseason. But the first 2 games of that 2002 season, as there's a bouncing ball, Franco ranging far to his left. What a nice play that was. Wow, what a big-time play to throw out Lorenzen, who runs well.
The Schilling-Johnson combo kind of took you back to the Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox trio because those 3 guys fed off of each other, all in the Hall of Fame. And Johnson and Schilling fed off of each other big time.
Yep. But, you know, those first 2 starts of that year, They both went complete games, shutouts. One striking out 17, the other striking out 15. And that was just getting warmed up. Liner at third, 2 down in the inning. And you go back through the history of baseball, and really the duo of Koufax and Drysdale is considered by many to be the best 1-2 punch. The 4-year frame that Johnson and Schilling had together wound up being the best, even better than Drysdale and Koufax.
Pretty incredible.
The best numbers ever put up by 2 starting pitchers in the same rotation over a 4-year time frame. It was mind-boggling. They had one time in 4 years where the team lost back-to-back games that they started.
That they pitched. When you've got 2 starters striking out 300,
oh yeah,
that's a bunch.
And
that's
throwing
a
250 innings. Yeah.
I mean, that's just crazy.
Boy, so blessed and so privileged to watch that. It was unbelievable, and I'm not sure we'll ever see any. As a matter of fact, I am quite sure we will never see anything like it again, because you're not going to see guys making 37, 38 starts and pitching 250, 270 innings. Those days are long gone.
Well, the game will have to change in how we train our younger pitchers if that's ever to happen again.
Whacked into left field, a base hit by Peraza. So he's on board for the first time tonight. A 2-out single that'll give Scooter a chance. I mean, you talk about strikeouts. Only Nolan Ryan. But look at that total by Ryan. He had almost 1,000 more than the unit.
I know.
The unit. It's a big leaguer.
He's a big old boy.
Yes, he was.
So was Nolan, by the way.
Yes, he was too. Well, you know, Nolan Ryan was a guy who came into baseball. He's been in baseball for a long time. He was with Houston, then he goes to Texas. And he was a guy who said, we're going to stop this nonsense of pitchers not being allowed to go to 100 innings. We're going to really start stretching these guys out.
100 pitches.
100 pitches. They, that lasted all of about 3 years, and they ran him out of it.
Well, the club that he's the advisor for now is doing pretty well.
Yes. They are.
Houston Astros.
That's right. Back in Houston.
And the club he left, I think they're in last.
Yes. Well, they still have a guy like Verlander who's still in that throwback deal. I mean, you can run him out there for 130 pitches if you want. And he'll just keep throwing the ball and getting people out. Verlander's the closest thing left in Major League Baseball, in my opinion, unless there's somebody you can think of that I'm forgetting. He's the closest thing that's still left in the game today of a Johnson or a Schilling or guys in that vein.
That has stayed healthy.
Yeah. Scherzer would be in the same boat. That's another guy.
Scherzer would be there.
Yeah, he'd be there.
Kershaw was there for a while, but he's had some injury issues as of late.
One ball, 2 strikes on Scooter.
I would venture to say that we will see a 30-man roster before we see another guy throw 300 innings.
300
or 250.
Yeah. I mean, the league leader now every year is a little above 200, 215, somewhere in that neighborhood.
They may have to start expanding some of these bullpens for guys to sit down there.
One ball and 2 strikes, a count on Jeanette.
In a day and age where we are supposed to be better fit, better prepared, stronger, faster, throwing harder, but yet instead of having 5 starters and 5 guys in the bullpen, we've got 5 starters and 8 or 9 guys in the bullpen.
Yep.
And starters, if they get to the 5th, you're clapping.
Strike 3 called on the outside corner, will retire the side. 3rd strikeout for Suarez. We've played only 5. And it's a 5-4 Philadelphia lead.
Fifth third field in Dayton, and former number 2 overall pick Hunter Green. Now check the board after the final pitch of the first inning. It is at 102. That's a new record for that ballpark, eclipsing the 101 that Green and someone named Aroldis Chapman had previously posted. You guys are talking about guys throwing hard, potentially throwing longer. We don't know much about Hunter Green yet, except for the fact that he can bring the heat. He did it tonight in Dayton.
Cowboy, I know you've watched a little video on him. What are your thoughts on him so far? I know you don't see him, pitch a ton.
I think that what the staff there in Dayton has done to educate this young man on the ability to locate that high-end fastball has really brought him, I'm talking in a hurry. The ability to get the ball away from his, or to his glove side, away from his arm side, and locate the ball down instead of just seeing how hard he can throw it. Yes, he has great natural ability, but he's not jumping at the plate. He has a good ability to get the breaking ball over the plate for a strike. The guys that have worked with him in Dayton have been phenomenal from a pitching standpoint. That's just my opinion, because I see rapid progress for a kid that's, this is his first year. Let's face it.
Austin Bryce now takes over. Nice job by Lorenzen.
Yes.
You were talking about him giving
innings.
him maybe 3, ends up giving him 4. He gives up a couple of solo home runs, but did a good job.
And this surprises me. He came in June 1st at San Diego, came in the ball game in the 6th, finished the game for a save. The ball game the Reds won 7-2, pitched 4 innings in that ball game.
Yeah, he did a good job there. This guy is a very, very valuable piece of this team. Now, what his long-term role is going to be here, we'll see. He said all along, look, if they want me to be in the bullpen, I'm not going to make waves. But if you're asking me what's my preference, I would prefer to start. On the ground, down to Votto. He'll feed the covering Austin Bryce. We mentioned this young man's throwing the ball very well since coming back. Came on to get the final 3 outs of the game yesterday in 1-2-3 fashion.
Let's go back to the starting issue for Lorenzen. I think it's very difficult. There's not a workout that you can put together during a 3 or 4 month off season that is going to allow you to throw 200 innings. It takes a period of time of throwing the baseball. And every time that the Reds have gone that route, he gets to a certain spot and then he gets hurt. How many times do you want to take that risk? Do you want to use him in a position that they're using him now, where, okay, well, we can use him for 4 innings, we can use him to close a ball game? I mean, he's about as valuable of a piece as you can get for today's bullpen.
It's a great point. Boy, it's a great point.
I think when you start to weigh the risks of the issue, I'd rather have him do what he did here tonight. And I give him a couple of days off, maybe 3. And he can come back and throw 2 or 3 days in a row if you pitch him 1 inning.
That's
I mean,
right.
he can do anything.
Mm-hmm. Cesar Hernandez, 1 of 3, had a single in the second inning. He struck out and bounced out to Jeanette. Already batting for the 4th time in this game. Two and two. Pulled again to the right side. And Votto with a flip to Bryce. 2 up, 2 down.
Get over $5,300 below MSRP on this 2018 Encore Preferred 2.
So Bryce comes in, retires the first 2 batters. And now we'll face Hoskins, who hit a solo home run in the first inning, has since struck out swinging and bounced out to third.
I would say that for Austin Bryce, his greatest asset on this ball club is Jared Hughes. Very similar type pitchers, hard sinker, breaking ball away. How do I use that sinker? What do I do when it's breaking big? What do I do when it's short? How do you get the ball away from a right-hander? Hughes has been doing this a long time. He could be a great teacher for Austin Bryce, as long as Bryce listens.
And you know what? The time that you and I both spent around Bryce, he's the kind of guy that strikes me as somebody who would listen. He's a good kid. Starting to rain for the first time tonight. We had heard that from Local 12 that we might see a shower pop up from time to time tonight. I mean, it's more like a mist than a rain. Some of the fans are heading out. And some came prepared to hang in.
I think when you're learning this game at this level, Tom, and you're trying to get better, you're good. You get here because you're good. But in order to stay here, you've got to learn the nuances of the game. That doesn't always come from a pitching coach or a hitting coach. A lot of times that comes from your peers and your teammates and guys in your locker room.
Blasted again, and Hoskins has his 2nd home run tonight.
Boy, he likes that ball middle in.
7 home runs have been hit in this game here tonight. 5 of the 7 by the Philadelphia Phillies. And that is a season game high for Philadelphia. 5 of them.
I think when you go back and look at that home run pitch, instead of that pitch having downward action, the ball stayed on the same plane coming back across the plate. That's the difference between what Jared Hughes throws and what a lot of times the mistakes are made with Austin Bryce. That ball had great movement, but it was flat and across the plate rather than going down. The ball that goes down is a ground ball. The ball that stays flat, well, you saw what happened with that
one. 1-1 on Herrera. And that's straight up in the air, and this appears to be playable. It will be for Tucker. And the inning is over. But a solo home run makes it a 6-4 Philadelphia lead.
Right center field between the PNC power stacks. During tonight's game will Sarah Inslee from Erlanger, Kentucky. You'll win a brand new 2018 Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark, thanks to the Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Sarah Inslee from Erlanger, good luck.
Good luck indeed. You're used to reading that over on the radio side.
Yes, sir.
You handle that all the time.
That was awfully close. Votto trying to use that little quick elbow in to foul that ball off.
That's in the air down the right field line, and basically a pop-up that's going to fall in for Votto. And it'll be a single they throw behind him, and he's able to get back.
Well, the Phillies were squeezing the gaps a bit with right fielder Nick Williams. That ball was in the air for a while, but he was way over towards right center field. Votto made the right decision there. He looked like he was on skates for a second.
And it looks like that's going to be it for Suarez in his major league debut. So he goes 5+ in this one. And so far has given up 4 runs. The man at first belongs to him, but he does leave with a lead. So right now, as he walks off the mound, he is in line for a win in his major league debut. But we got a long way to go before we get there. We're back in a moment.
Zach Brown Band, the Down the Rabbit Hole tour featuring Leon Bridges from Fort Worth, Texas. Get your tickets today at reds.com/Zach Brown Band. Going to be a great show.
It will be a great show. Coming up right around the corner just a couple of weeks from now. Reds will be out of town, and taking over on the mound for Suarez is right-hander Luis Garcia's 35th game of the year. So Suarez gives up 6 hits and 5+. He's so far allowed 4 runs in his major league debut. He walked a batter and struck out 3. All in all, they probably feel pretty good about it.
Well, probably the most improbable thing, or the most crazy thing about the night for Suarez, is he gave up 2 home runs. He hasn't given up but 2 home runs all year in the minor leagues. But then again, this is a whole different level, partner.
Yes, it is. Reds have action in their bullpen, Cowboy. You got Amir Garrett. It's starting to rain harder than it has at any point in time all night long. And if it gets any harder than it is right now, it's not terrible.
No, I think we're okay right now as long as it doesn't get, as long as the drops don't get any bigger than what they are.
Gone swinging is Suarez. So Garcia retires the first batter he faces, best hitter in the Reds lineup right now. And here comes Adam Duvall. Well, the weekend weather was brutal, and it was brutal in St. Louis when we were there before the break and all the rain delays. We didn't start the game here on Friday night until 10 o'clock at night. That series opener, the first game back. We really lucked out in the Cardinals series. Really lucked out. They were calling for rain, turned into beautiful weather each of the 3 nights in the one-day game, 2-night games, one-day game. And it was an incredibly beautiful day here today. And supposed to be really nice through the weekend with lots of sunshine and much cooler temperatures. The high for the weekend's like 82, 83 degrees.
Quite a bit of separation between those first 2 pitches here to Duvall. An 84-mile-an-hour slider that just kind of spins up there, and that one was at 98.
Another slider got him swinging. It's a good slider. Struck out back-to-back hitters here. Now Barnhart.
Well, this is a slider where it goes down. It's a strike whether you swing or not.
Well, that's tight. And late. Tucker hit a home run his last time up. First time he'll turn around to bat left-handed in the game tonight. And Garcia almost has a 5-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. So striking people out, nothing new for him. Oh, and 1 to Barnhart. Whew. I think that's without Forrest. He's acting like he's cleaning up the area around home plate. I think he's turning around saying, "Are you kidding me?"
And Tucker's saying, well, hey, you rung me up on one that was 6 inches under the zone earlier. That's a really good breaking ball. When you've got a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and you can throw a breaking ball that is a strike and that has that much downward movement, and it's late. That's a last 4 or 5 feet break. Tough to decipher with your eyes. There are many times that we'll see a pitcher with a breaking ball that on TV it looks, oh, that thing dropped out of the heavens. Well, if it breaks really big, the hitter sees it. If it breaks short and late, it's very tough to pick up.
And short and late is generally a lot more velocity,
yes,
right?
More velocity. But that last 3 feet, it's almost physically impossible for your eyes to pick it up. I can remember when I first started learning how to throw a slider when I was here. And Don Gullett, Grant Jackson were talking to me, and they said, look, if you can see it break big, it's too big. I'm thinking, well, that's the opposite of what I've always learned. They said, watch the catcher's mitt. Catcher's mitt moves to the side. You know you got a good one, and that was a good one there.
Garcia comes in and strikes out all 3 batters he faces. We are in the rain in Cincinnati. And the Phillies lead at the end of 6-4. I mean, right from the get-go, the Phillies get a couple of them in the very first inning. Hoskins with one, then a 2-run home run by Santana. They have a home run by Nick Williams. They have a home run by Maikel Franco. Hoskins a second home run. Reds have a couple of home runs of their own. Eugenio Suarez now a home run in 4 straight games. And Tucker Barnhart in the 4th inning tied the game with a 2-run home run, but the Phillies have hit solo home runs since that time.
And still a lot of game to go here.
Yeah, I'm only 2/3 of the way through it. Hard to believe. Santana, that 2-run home run in the first inning, has since struck out and flied out to right. Austin Bryce, his second inning of work, he allowed a hit, a solo home run to Hoskins. Votto let that ball play him, and he's fortunate that didn't scoot by him. He stayed with it, played it off to the left side, and was able to get the out at first base.
You notice the approach has changed a bit for the Phillies as the game has gone on. When Malley started the ball game, there were a lot of pitches taken all the way through this lineup, 1 through 9, even the pitcher. But as the bullpen has come into the ball game, they've changed their approach. A lot more first pitch swings, much more aggressive as the game has moved along.
You're right. One and oh, the count on Franco. He hit that big home run his last time up on a pitch very similar to that one up in the strike zone. Tomahawked it to the seats in left field.
And I would hope that Anthony DeSclafani is seeing this as well. He's the starter in tomorrow's ball game. Hey, if they're going to take a bunch of pitches early in the game, I want to be ahead in the count early.
That will be another home run. Boy, this is unbelievable. Sixth home run of this game for the Phillies. We mentioned when they hit their fifth, that was a single game high. Now they're just adding to it. Franco with a pair of them. He's every bit as hot as Suarez right now.
And as I told you earlier, the balls that go out of the ballpark are not well executed pitches. That was a spinning breaking ball up around the middle of the thigh.
Got to go back to Milwaukee here a year ago. On June the 29th, Brewers hit 6. And we're just, what, 2 batters into the 7th inning tonight. Manager doesn't need to do much when you got guys hitting 6 balls into seats. So Gabe just kind of kicking back and taking it easy.
The only thing you're doing is making sure your left hand is all right when you pat him on the back to come back in the dugout.
Right. Making sure half your roster's not getting welts on the back of their shoulders. Tell you, it's really going to be an interesting, and Cowboy, we have all weekend to talk about it, but you're going to be here all 4 games on the television side, or 3 anyway.
3.
You and I'll be here all the way through Saturday. I really think that National League East is going to be fun to watch. I'm not so sure Washington's getting back in that thing. I know a lot of people think they will. We'll see. But even if it's Philadelphia and Atlanta, there are things on both of these teams to really like a lot, and some holes. Although I think, based on what we saw from that Atlanta bullpen, I think that is a far more glaring hole than anything we've seen from Philadelphia yet.
Right. I think when you look at the Nationals, they are a club that could get on an extended run, but I think that is coming from one player dialing it up, and that's their right fielder. If he's hitting .214 in the middle of August, they're going to stay back there. He just seems to energize that club. Of course, you don't have Steven Strasburg back yet. He came back. They put him right back on the disabled list. That is a problem. Gio Gonzalez not throwing the ball nearly as well as what we saw last year. I mean, there's been some talk in D.C. about possible selling off pieces before we get to the end of this month.
That's right. Soft liner will be caught for the second out of the inning. So 2 down in the inning, and here's Kingery.
Well, you can see where Barnhart is setting up. He is setting up in. He wants the ball to run in on the hands of some of these Philly hitters. But if you don't execute that pitch, it does no good to call it. Can't worry about hitting the guy. If you hit him, hang with him.
1-2 delivery. Jam shot roller down to third. Suarez throws out Kingery, and that will end the inning. Solo home run yet again. 7-4 Phils. The Moon will be performing a live concert right on the field this coming Saturday, and everyone with a ticket to the game can stay for the show, Walk the Moon. And again, we remind you, if you're thinking about coming down, you might have a schedule that came out a little bit early before we had this concert nailed down that might say the game's at 7:10. The game on Saturday is a 6:40 game. So then that way we can hopefully, play a quick game and then have plenty of time to get the stage set up and let Walk the Moon do their thing for a while. Rain continues to fall. Reds come to bat here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. This guy's been around for a while.
It's on the disabled list for really up until the last few weeks. But when he is on the field, more times than not, he has been quite effective. A very unique delivery, as you can see. He will quick pitch, and he throws some funky stuff up there.
Foul tipped into the mitt of the catcher for out number 1.
Fastball started off the plate and ran back to the corner. This one started on the corner and ran off the plate. More times than not, you watch veteran pitchers, the reason they've been around is they can make 2 or 3 different pitches look just like their fastball. Everybody wants to hit a fastball. You make a breaking ball look like a fastball, you make a hitter look silly. Dilson Herrera.
Yes, Dilson. Big hero, of course, in a Cardinal series, and he lifts one into deep left center field, but that'll be run down out there for the second out of the inning. First 2 retired. This guy's been around, it seems like, forever.
He gives you a great, just a difference out of your bullpen. We saw Garcia, who just came on throwing 98 miles an hour with that hard downward breaking ball. Neshek comes into the ball game. If he throws 88, that's a top pitch, but a whole different arm angle and the lower velocity just gives you a different look.
Cowboy, I want to say hello to my football partner out there watching the game, Chris Spielman, former four-time All-American at Ohio State, went to many, many Pro Bowls in the NFL, makes his home in Columbus.
Gamer.
He's dialed in watching it tonight.
Gamer.
Oh, big-time gamer. I only work with gamers. I don't want any of you China dolls coming in the booth. So I'm only working with gamers.
I like it.
You better believe it. Spielman, Cowboy, Welsh, no China dolls allowed.
Ballpark, it's the Fox Sports Ohio condominium, and this is where Reds Live pregame takes place each and every night. Before the Reds take the field, we'll do it again tomorrow, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. We'll be here for the postgame show as well. Coming up tomorrow, Anthony DeSclafani takes the mound for the Reds, a lot like Tyler Mahle. A couple of rough last outings for DeSclafani. We'll see if he can right the ship tomorrow night in Game 2 of this 4-game set against the Phils. In the meantime, we'll wait for the finish and expect you to join us here for the postgame show when it's over.
All righty, Brian, great having you with us here tonight. Brian will be with us for the next couple of nights as well, I do believe. Kyle Crockett now takes over on the mound for the Reds after Bryce gave him 2 innings of 2-hit, 2-run baseball, out a couple of solo home runs. Of course, that's been the entire story for the Philadelphia offense tonight. Every run they have scored has come on a home run. They have 6 of them in the game.
You know, we used the term gamer when you were talking about Spielman. I don't throw that term around loosely, because a gamer to me is a guy that when they're tired, when it's the 9th inning or it's the 4th quarter, when the game's on the line, you're able to execute and bring your best. Some of the hardest hits I have ever seen in the 4th quarter were from that dude.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, lay you out.
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable. A lot of people, you know, the people our age will remember that Chris Spielman was the first high school athlete ever in the history of America to be on the cover of a Wheaties box when he was playing high school football in Massillon, Ohio for his late father. There's a drive into late, deep left center field.
Ooh.
And that's off the top of the wall. That was nearly yet another home run. And you know, Cowboy, just finish that thought. The only other high school athlete that's ever been on the cover of a Wheaties box. How amazing is this? Grew up no more than 20 minutes down the road in Akron, Ohio, LeBron James when he was in high school. That's pretty amazing.
It is.
All right, Crockett now going to face. Let's see who the Phillies going to send up there. That will be number 15, Andrew Knapp, their backup catcher. Actually shares time at catcher. Alfaro gets a little more playing time. Knapp does get some decent playing time. Reds are still in this game. It's only a 3-run ball game, and we're only in the 8th inning.
Knapp is up there. He's going to try to hit the ball to the right side of the infield and move the runner to third. There are not too many catchers that hit in the leadoff spot. This guy does that every once in a while.
Well, the rain is really light now, but still a mist like rain falling. Tell some of the fans it really doesn't bother them too much, but many of them have gone up under cover. The majority. Well, the Dodgers just got beat up by these Phillies. They go down to Atlanta to open a 4-game weekend series tonight, and they are blasting the Braves. It is 6-0 in the 8th inning. Pirates are losing again. They had an 11-game win streak come to an end yesterday against Cleveland, and now losing to the Mets 10-5 at home. Knapp's done a good job hitting off the bench, nearly a .300 batter as a pinch hitter. See his overall season average.
Well, that 2-0 swing there was not a get me over swing. That was a drive out of here swing. Get me and you in from home. Well, I don't think that Alfaro is going anywhere at second base. Maybe Crockett just didn't quite like the signal that he got from the catcher Barnhart.
Well, they're taking quite a while to get on the same page for what they want to do here on this 2-1 pitch on Knapp. Good pitch on the inside corner.
You know, every time I see a bat like Knapp is using now with that pine tar all the way up to the middle of the label and some part of it even higher than that, I think about that George Brett game when he lost his mind.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yankee Stadium.
That was one of the better snaps I've ever seen.
Oh, no question. Breaking ball down and in.
You know, for Kansas City being a mild-mannered town, you would think that you wouldn't really think of too many major snaps in that town. But I do remember the George Brett incident, and I remember Al McRae taking that telephone and trying to take out one of the reporters. He lost his mind. Oh my goodness.
That's been a while.
The game will do it to you.
Well, especially in that job.
Especially
in that job. I mean, you know, for those who know guys before they become a manager, you're a friend of theirs, teammate of theirs, broadcast partner of theirs. I had a broadcast partner of mine, former teammate of yours, Bob Brenly, that went from, you know, his playing days into the broadcast booth and then went down to become the manager. And right before your very eyes, his first year they won a World Series. Second year went to the playoffs, but then things start happening. Guys start getting hurt. Guys start getting traded. Guys start getting less productive.
Well, that's the part you can't do anything about as a manager.
And You just watch these guys almost before your eyes disintegrate.
And those are two guys that we just mentioned, Hal McRae and Bob Brindley, that know as much baseball as anybody I've ever been around.
But boy, it will chew you up.
I used to love to sit by Hal McRae during the ball game. Now that's back at Riverfront where they had the bullpens on the field, and watch him evaluate the opposing hitters. Because if I could listen to some of the things that he picked up, I would take that into the ball game when I was pitching late in the game. As I said earlier, it's not always about the pitching coach. Sometimes it's teammates. It could be a hitting coach helping a pitcher, as McRae did for me. I think the key to success up here is you take all the information and you use what's best for your game. You can't be somebody else.
The base hit in the left field, it'll bring in another run. So that's the first time the Phillies going to score a run in this game, as the runner is out at second base, came off the bag.
Well, the wetness of the field allowed Hernandez to take second, because that ball really did some major skipping as it came off the bat. Duvall made a great play, but it also cost Hernandez because he slid through the bag.
He gets an RBI on the play. They do get the second out, and that makes it an 8-4 ball game.
Safe originally and just kept right on sliding. We see that a lot of times with Billy Hamilton. His speed takes him into the bag.
Wow. That's a fair ball. And coming into second base again, and Scooter will try and hold the tag down, but keeping his hand on it is Hoskins, who has 2 home runs and a double here tonight.
That was close to being back-to-back assists by Adam Duvall on balls that he had to race to the left field line to get. I mean, this ball's right over the bag. He made that a close play.
So now Herrera, this will be a left-handed batter that Crockett finally gets to face here. A run home. Phillies have scored in all but 2 of their innings tonight. They did not score in the second inning, though they left 2 on base. And then Lorenzen had a 1-2-3 fourth inning. Outside of that, waiting for Herrera to get in the box again.
You watch Herrera, and this is probably not the case, but just to the eye watching the game tonight, there are times where he's made up his mind before the pitch ever comes that he's going to take it, as we saw earlier, and he struck out, never took the bat off his shoulder in the 4th inning looking. The first pitch from Crockett, He was stepping out of the batter's box as the ball was coming to the plate. That pitch, he looked like he was going to swing no matter where it was.
Well, I tell you, the umpires, you know, they're just, there's nothing they can do about these guys because baseball doesn't give them any power. And fans here that came to watch a baseball game are not standing to watch Herrera take 30 seconds in between every pitch. I'm sorry. Now he's finally going to get out.
Well, the only way that you're going to do any kind of speed up in the ball game is to give the umpires the authority to tell the pitcher to throw the baseball. And guy's not in the box.
And that will end the inning. But the Phillies get another run for the first time, not the long ball. And it's an 8-4 Philadelphia lead.
Notes from around the game. The Cubs, that big win this afternoon, but also put Chris Bryant on the disabled list. Bullpen help is coming to the Brewers in the form of White Sox closer Joakim Soria, and starting pitching headed to the Yanks, J.A. Happ, as the trade deadline rapidly approaches. And as you guys mentioned earlier, it's been reported that former Philly Cole Hamels is headed from the Rangers to the Cubs, so look for more activity like this in the next few days as we get closer to the deadline.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, some of the big names have been traded. The biggest name has been traded as Adam Morgan now takes over on the mound for Philadelphia. They've gotten good relief work tonight, both from Neshek and Garcia, who struck out all three batters he faced in front of him.
I would still bet that there will be a flurry of activity at the right as we get to the deadline.
Yeah, I think a lot of relievers are going to start to get moved. Don't you?
Yes. And I think there will still be some more starting pitching that moves.
That ball stung to center field, and that's a base hit by Peraza.
That ball was hit to dead center field, and Herrera was fortunate he was able to backhand it. That ball had some major skip to it. We saw the ball earlier with Adam Duvall in left field. You get some rain on that grass, you hit the ball on a line, it's going to skip, and there's a chance many times that it could skip right by an outfielder.
All right, so here's Scooter. You know, it's interesting. You know, here you have Morgan, and we brought up earlier that they started a left-hander for the first time since 2016. That last left-hander was this guy. But the interesting thing is that the Phillies, you may remember, opened the season in 2017 here in Cincinnati. That was the first series of the year. All right, here they are a year and a half later. They come back into town for the first and only time this year. They only have 13 players who appeared in that game, and only 6 of them remain on the team tonight. You've got, or of the 13 that played in that game, only 6 are on the team any longer. Herrera, Franco, Knapp, this guy Morgan, and Ramos. Gone are names like Daniel Nava. He started on opening day. Michael Saunders, he started on opening day. Brock Stassi, remember him? He was a big story, the kid who had a big spring. Freddie Galvis here, longtime shortstop. Clay Buchholz. Andres Blanco and Tommy Joseph. Big, strong, slugging first baseman. Sounded like he broke his bat. Yep, he did. So when you think about, you know, turning over a roster, I mean, my goodness. It's incredible what they've done, especially on the pitching side of things. One ball and 2 strikes on Scooter Gennett. Started 2 and laid off.
Well, you're at a spot in the Reds lineup where if you have any hope of putting up a big inning, this is the spot to do it. You've already got Peraza aboard, Gennett, Votto, Suarez. This Phillies team plays with way more intensity than what we saw last year. They look like they were going through the motions last year.
Well, but let me ask you, that's that old adage in every sport. You know, like the proverbial question about what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? I mean, don't you look like you're playing with a lot more fire when you're in first place in 14 games over 500 than when you're 35 games under? Which comes first?
I just think that there's some energy and some expectation, and you listed off those guys. You don't play with energy and expectation to win, see ya. We don't want you.
In the air, straight away center. It's hit a long way, but it'll stay in the park. Herrera back to get it. And that's the first out here in the Reds' 8th inning.
You make some signings like you did with Santana at first base. You go out and sign a #1 starter, even though you already had Aaron Nola, but you go out and you sign a guy like Jake Arrieta.
Yep.
I think players start to say, all right, well, the expectation, the bars has been raised by the front office. Now the expectation is we've got to play up to that bar.
Arrieta was one of those free agents, and there are still dozens of them that are out there that are unsigned. I mean, there are a whole pile of them out there. And Arrieta was signed very, very late. In fact, you know, they had just brought him in when the Reds, you know, really to start getting ready to pitch at the big league level. We were going in there a couple of weeks into the season. In fact, I think he started his first game the day before we got there, if I'm not mistaken. And then Arrieta was highly critical of his manager, if you may remember early in the year, about all the defensive shifts and all these kinds of things. And at that point in time, the shifts were not working. And that is actually, you know, a statistic that is followed about, you know, your shifts and are they working, are they not working. And at that particular point in time, Arrieta knew what he was talking about. He said, look, we've done X, Y, and Z, and every time we do it, the other team is beating the shift. And, you know, he and Gabe Kapler, they get along fine. I mean, it's no big deal. I mean, they got through it. But, I mean, Arrieta, he's been around a winning culture the last handful of years here in Chicago, winning the World Series 2 years ago. He's won a Cy Young Award.
But I think when you have a veteran player that issues challenges of that magnitude,
sure,
there is an underlying challenge that also goes to his teammates. Look, I'm here to win. I'm not here to just fill out a contract. I want the shifts changed because I want to win.
Votto had a bloop single down the right field line his last time up. He's 1 for 3 in the game. Joey really, really struggling right now. He's been going through the last 25 games or so where hits have been few and far between for him.
You're just seeing more and more teams from a pitching standpoint. They are really trying to rush the fastball in on Votto. Not always on the inside corner. Sometimes that ball's in off the plate. But what you're seeing with the left-handers is they'll start the breaking ball in the same spot. And it's just, I don't care how great of a hitter you are, it's tough to decipher. Coming with a breaking ball here.
And a base hit by Votto.
He solved the riddle there.
On to third goes Peraza, and the Reds have him on the corners with 1 out in the inning.
That's a good piece of hitting by Votto.
And after facing the left-hander with the right-handed batting Suarez coming out, here comes Gabe Kapler. Going to go to his bullpen and bring on Tommy Hunter, a right-hander. So we'll take a break in the action. Back in a minute. 8th inning with 1 out. The Eugenio Suarez coming up. And now on to pitch a big fella, Tommy Hunter.
You look at Hunter's numbers and they're not eye-popping, especially for a guy that pitches at the back end of the ball game. But the Phillies sure like him. They like him in these spots.
All right, Suarez, he's already homered tonight, making it 4 straight games he's hit a home run. Barnhart tonight is homered for the 3rd consecutive game. And it's interesting to note, according to Elias, this is the first time in Reds franchise history, the oldest franchise, as you know, in Major League Baseball, to have 3 batters have homered in 4 consecutive games in the same season. Votto did it back in April. Scooter did it in May. Suarez on the current 4-game run. How about that?
That's all-star row.
That's exactly right. All-star row. 0-2 to Suarez.
Well, all of the pitches that Suarez has seen from Hunter have been sliders, even though they're 92, 93, 94. He can dial that fastball up there in the upper 90s.
And that ball gets away, and Votto does not advance to second base.
That's probably just not paying attention.
Three and two to count on Suarez, and struck him out. 2 away in the inning.
It's like a cutter up in the strike zone, and Eugenio just gets underneath it.
So now Duvall, and naturally the right-hander Hunter will stay in to face him. Duvall tonight had an extra base hit taken away in the very first inning on a diving play by Hoskins in left field. He sends fly to right and struck out. They're on the corners with 2 away. Virtually every other game that started tonight is over.
You know, this is the intriguing part of Duvall. You and I talked about this earlier. Yeah, he's hitting right at 200. But in a situation like this, he catches one, it's a 1-run ball game. He's got that kind of power from line to line. Doesn't matter if it's right or left.
He's done a lot of that this year. Look at fastballs.
A lot of fastballs in the middle.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if that's because he's trying to guard against the breaking ball, because that's been an Achilles heel for him in his career.
Breaking ball off the pitcher's glove, but the second baseman is there to get it for the force out, and that'll end the inning. We go to the ninth. Phillies lead 8-4. 6 home runs in the game here tonight. The only run the Phillies have scored that did not come on a home run was their most recent at bat in the 8th inning against Kyle Crockett on a single by Cesar Hernandez. That drove in Alfaro. So now it'll be Santana, a switch hitter, followed by Franco, a right-handed batter, and then Nick Williams. In there, a strike. Santana, a home run, a 2-run blast as a left-handed batter. His first time up, that was against Malley in the first inning. He's hitless since. Struck out, flied out, bounced out.
Well, the Phillies have been true to form as far as their game plan and how they've played as of late. They made Malley work big time in that first inning.
One away in the inning.
So you think that maybe Franco will try to drag bunt here, or go,
oh yeah,
or
sure
go,
he is, sure.
Go for the 3rd homer.
Sure.
I remember the at-bat Franco had against Aroldis Chapman his rookie year in the big leagues in Philadelphia. Hit a game-winning home run. I think he hit it off the foul ball down the left field line.
You're exactly right.
And it was a fastball at 101, if I remember correctly. I know it was at least 100 miles an hour.
Yep.
And he hit it down the left field line. And my jaw was resting on my chest. I couldn't believe it.
The last Philly, if you're wondering, to hit 3 home runs in a game, you've got to go back to 2008. That's a long time ago. Jason Worth did it in an interleague game against the Toronto Blue Jays in May of 2008. You know, that's really hard to believe because Ryan Howard still had a lot of good years left in him. As there's a ground ball to third. For that matter, Chase Utley had a lot of good, but Howard's a guy that stands out. I mean, if there's anybody, because there was about, what, Cowboy, a 5-6 year run where he hit more home runs than any player in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, the thing about Jason Worth, though, is that he had all fields power, especially in that ballpark. He could hit it down the left field line. He could hit it down the right field line. It did not matter. Howard, he was almost from right center field to the line. He didn't hit a whole lot of balls the other way.
But boy, when he hit him.
He did hit him. Wasn't it on the final game of the playoffs that year when he
final out
tore the Achilles tendon? And
the final out of the game.
Just never seemed to be the same after that.
That's when he hit that comebacker to the mound, and when he broke out of the box. It's against the Cardinals, if I remember right. And boy, that was terrible. Went straight to the deck. That was awful. Of course, the Phillies lost to the guy that threw the no-hitter in a playoff game against the Cincinnati Reds. They lost.
Halladay.
Yep, Roy Halladay in a plane crash during the offseason. Two and one the count.
Oh.
That ball is launched, and it's a 2-homer night for Nick Williams. Golly, Dave, was that ball killed.
Now 3 Phillies here tonight that have hit 2 home runs.
I don't know if I've ever seen that in a game.
I don't either.
You have Williams that has 2 home runs tonight. You have Franco who has 2 home runs tonight, and Hoskins with 2 home runs. The 7 home runs tonight ties a franchise record for the Phillies. 7 home runs. Wow. Looped into left field, a base hit. Boy, the hits just keep on coming tonight for the Phillies. This is unbelievable. "17 base hits and a franchise tying 7 of them for home runs. Alfaro has 2 hits. He's been on base 3 times. The only out he made, he had a line drive that almost knocked Irvin over back in the 3rd.
And that would have been an 8th home run the last time Alfaro was at the plate. The ball hit the very top of the yellow line out in left center field, right in front of the Starfire bullpen sign.
It's our buddy Kurt Dimer.
That's right.
It's big league company.
Yes, he is. Coolants Plus. Well, for a night where it looked like momentarily we were going to get quite a bit of rain, we got some rain, but not enough to have any appearance of stoppage of play. It seems like every batter that the Phillies run to the plate is swinging out of their shoes. They've probably got to relace their shoes every time they go back to the dugout, because all the pitches that we are throwing for the majority are just out over the plate.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is the kind of game, and what it's really frustrating to watch for people who have watched baseball for a long, long time. This is a kind of game where at least somebody sooner or later would have been stood up in a game like this, because like you said, they are just going up there and they are swinging from their heels on every pitch that comes up there. And there hasn't been a pitch in its game that's even moved a guy back 3 inches off the plate. And again, like you brought up earlier, I don't want anybody to please misunderstand what I'm saying.
Not talking about hitting
Not talking about hitting anybody, because I'm not a fan of that either. But, I mean, these guys
the ball
are
in at the hands. You make the hitter retreat his hands. It changes the perception of the outside corner and the outside part of the plate. And what it does do is it keeps the hitter from being so aggressive with that front shoulder driving to the plate.
There's Plouffe coming up to bat for Hunter. Hunter did a good job. He came in and got the only 2 batters that he faced. When the Reds had something going on there, it looked like. Chance to get back in the game with a couple of guys on and Suarez coming up. Phillies have runners at second and first. They have 18 hits in this game. Tapper foul wide of third. Plouffe was the guy who was that hero. We showed you the highlights in that 6-hour game, the 16-inning marathon the other night.
He's the one that hit it off Kike Hernandez.
Yes,
correct?
he did. To right center field. Tomahawked that pitch the other way.
I'm not sure what's going on with Kyle Crockett, but he is really taking a long time.
Well, this has to be the most pitches he's probably thrown in a game in Lord knows how long. He's normally a left-hander who comes in to
face 1 or 2 batters.
Yeah. So it's probably been a long time.
But this is really what you get when you can't get a starter deep into the ball game. I mean, you really had to take him out after the first inning. You go right to the bullpen. You've got to ask guys in the pen to go a little beyond their comfort zone.
Well, the Renzen really gave him a
4-inning shot in the arm.
Yep, solid effort tonight. I mean, he did give up 2 runs, but he was out there for 4 after you had to take Malley out 1 batter into the 2nd inning. And now you wonder, well, what to do with Malley. I mean, he's not the only one struggling in that starting rotation right now, but this is now 3 starts in a row after a great month of June. The season high for Crockett this year, 30 pitches. He's thrown 45 here tonight. And that strikeout will end the inning. 3 hits, 1 in. Reds will bat in the bottom of the 9th, trailing 9-4. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Coming up after each and every Reds game here on Fox Sports Ohio, we call it Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. We'll break it all down. Ryan Giesenslaw already ready to go. Yes, there he is. Is that Ronnie there with him? Ronnie Millenor? Yep. Rufus. And there's our main man, Joel, down there hanging out. Yes, indeed. Looking good. Look, always smiling. Always smiling. Yes, indeed.
Jake Thompson only on for the 7th time here for the Phillies this year. He has been up and down a boatload of times.
You know, Cowboy, I just want to, let's talk about Joel Stuckey down there. He's called the condo president. You know, we call it the Fox Sports Ohio condominium.
Right.
And Jim calls him the Fox condominium. There's Joel, looking good, always looking good, working hard. He's the man down there. He's the man.
El Presidente.
Always smiling. I don't know if I've ever seen a guy smiling more than he does. Besides you. Especially after we had those Fox Sports Ohio shirts that we were wearing in Cleveland.
I love that. I'm gonna frame those. I'm gonna frame that.
You better have a big frame.
Well, I only need.
It rides high.
I just need to be able to get the top part.
I don't know if I've ever seen anybody in my life that was more bothered by something for 3 days than you were. I mean, you would have conversations with people, and they would be looking at your shirt, and you would be looking at them looking at your shirt. Because I
knew they were looking at my shirt.
And for those of you wondering what, look.
Oh,
that's strike 3 to bar. Yeah, he's going to lose it. He already called out once tonight. Actually, I'm a little surprised.
Oh, my goodness. Mr. Guccione is ready to go to the house. It's like newly recalled Mason Williams is standing in the on-deck circle. Evidently, he will hit in the 8th spot.
Phillies with 9 runs, 18 hits here tonight. They tie a franchise record, hitting 7 home runs in this game. Irvin lifts a fly ball into right field. And the Reds are down to their final out of the ninth. So here is Williams, just called up from the minor leagues today. It's the first time he's been in the big leagues since June of 2017 for the Yankees against the Rangers. We saw him a lot in spring training.
Well, at this point, when you've got two of your regular outfielders down, you've got to kind of reach deep into your farm system. That's one of the reasons that the Reds signed Mason Williams, is for some insurance just in case something like this has happened. Now he's got a chance to play in the big leagues for a bit. Of course, when you get called right back up to the big leagues, you don't care if it's 9-4 or 19-4. You've got a chance to get a hit here in the 9th inning. You get a chance to get a hit, period.
That's exactly right. Short left field. Anybody going to get to this one? Yes, that's the old ball game. 9-4, the Philadelphia Phillies take the opening game. Going to be a long weekend here, meaning we have a 4-game series. So Reds will try and come back and even things up here tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow night. Well, you have 3 guys to pick from. The Phillies had 3 players in the game tonight that hit 2 home runs in a game. And our Miller Lite Hold True moments, we're going to show you the 2 clubbed by Nick Williams. Man, they were lasers, both of them. Boy, pretty swing. All right, Reds Live is set to get underway. Final of 9-4. Phillies will pick up a game on Atlanta, beat up tonight by the Dodgers. So their lead extends in the National League East.